Now, last time we were looking at this. Let's erase it and we'll see what happens when we add two fractions. So we're going to look at addition of fractions. Let's suppose I have a half plus a quarter. Now, the original idea for this and adding these two fractions is to say I have 1/4 over here added to 1/2. It's like saying I have 1 banana added to 1 apple. What's the total I have? Now, I can't just add them. I can't say it's 2 bananas. I can't say it's 2 apples because these are different. So in this, just like in this case, there is one thing plus one different thing. 1/2 plus 1/4. If I had 1/4 plus 1/4, I wouldn't have a problem. I would have 2 quarters. Just like how if I had 1 banana plus 1 banana, I would have 2 bananas. So the original idea is to turn both of these into quarters, or both of them into halves, so that you have the same thing. It's kind of easier to turn both of them into quarters. So I want to turn the half into a quarter. So I say 1/2. How do I do it? I know that if I multiply the 2 by 2, I will get a 4. So it's something over 4. Now, if I say something over 4, some quarters plus 1/4. But the thing is, I can't write back 1/4 because I've changed this number. If I multiply the denominator by 2, I must compensate and multiply the numerator by 2 as well. After all, guess what? 2 cancels 2, and it's like multiplying the number by 1, so the number doesn't change. The way this looks when it comes down here will change, but it will have the same value. So upstairs I have 1 times 2 gives you 2. Downstairs I have 2 times 2 gives you 4. So I have 2 quarters. Alright? So here I have a number of quarters plus another number of quarters. So I shouldn't have a problem now. 2 of anything plus 1 more of that thing gives you 3 of them. Just like how, let's call this oranges. 2 oranges plus 1 orange equal to 3 oranges. So 2 quarters plus 1/4 gives me 3 quarters. In other words, if I add the numbers up top, 2 plus 1 is 3. I can just write down the quarter. So this is 2 quarters. This is the same thing, as 2 multiplied by a quarter plus 1 multiplied by a quarter. So I have 2 of this plus 1 of the same thing gives me 3 of them. Alright? So that's the original view of doing this. Now let's see. So in this case, it's a matter of rewriting with common denominators. Rewriting them with common denominators. Alright? Now, one of the usual method of doing something like this is to say a half plus a quarter. A shortcut method. Draw the line, find the LCM of 2 and 4. Right? If you have done LCM before. So if you haven't, then we'll deal with LCM in a later lesson. LCM of 2 and 4 is 4. Then you say 2 into 4 goes 2 times. 2 ones 2. Plus 4 into 4 goes 1 time. 1, 1, 1. So up top I have 2 plus 1 is 3 over 4. Give you the same 3 quarters here. But this is a shortcut method. But this method came from this originally. Alright? So that's adding 2 fractions here. Before we look at another example, let's look at this using a diagram. The fact that a half plus a quarter is 3/4. Alright? So a half plus a quarter is 3/4. That's the answer we got. Suppose I say this is this half. I have this half. Only one half here that I'm interested in. Plus a quarter. Plus, if I draw another circle, put it in quarters, I have this quarter. So let me just erase these parts. Alright, so I have a half plus a quarter. Gives you what? What does it give you? Now, using the diagram to add these fractions, look at this half on the left. Before I erased the first circle, this half, is really 2/4. 1/4 here and another quarter here. So this half is really 2/4. So this is a half and this is 1/4. But 1/2 is equal to 2/4 because there is 1/4 here and the other quarter here. So what I have is 1/4 plus another quarter give me 2/4 plus a third quarter give me 3/4. So using this diagram, I added these two fractions. Alright? So that's one case, adding a half plus a quarter. Next time we will try another example.